Captain Andrew Reeves served as a missile launch officer in rural Wyoming. For 5 years, he held the keys to 10 Minuteman III missiles. He rarely speaks about that time, except to mention the rules.
Rule 1. Do not read the emergency war order template aloud at 3 a.m. Not even for training. Not even as a joke.
A junior officer broke that rule in 1987. The capsule received an authentic launch order 40 seconds later. That night, Lieutenant Joshua picked up the emergency war order binder and began reading aloud, mocking the stilted language.
All units are authorized to commence launch operations. Sounds like a bad movie, doesn't it? Put that down. It's not funny.
At exactly 3:01 a.m., the capsule's message waiting light began to blink. An emergency action message, classified as authentic launch authorization, came through the printer. Red alerts flooded the capsule. Joshua froze, trembling over the second key. That junior officer would lose the next 11 years of his memory, completely and without explanation. The rules were never written down. They were whispered between crews, passed from veteran to rookie.
Rule 2. The third communication channel. It's a backup, redundant. The previous crew left it off. Leave it off.
Most capsules had a Channel 3 panel covered in dust, the switch taped off. A single word was scrawled across it. Don't. The manuals called it a backup line to headquarters, but the older crews knew better than to touch it. A new officer once flipped the switch. The speaker hissed static, then a voice. It didn't ask for authentication. After that, no one ever turned it on. Word spread that something was already listening on that frequency.
I asked my senior officer about it once. The man's face went pale. He said,
Some circuits in this complex were never meant to carry human voices, so the switch stayed off. Every crew after that left it exactly as they found it. That was Rule 2. There were 5 more, each one a little harder to explain.
Rule 3. Do not joke about launches. The capsule listens.
Crews learned fast. A careless comment could be thrown back at you later, coming out of the speaker in a voice that wasn't yours. It wasn't a recording. It matched the words, the tone, the exact inflection, just a few seconds delayed. Always at 3 a.m.
Rule 4. Sometimes the senior officer on your 2-man team is a face you do not recognize. Complete the shift. Do not question.
Andrew recalled a midnight shift in 1985. He climbed down into the capsule and found the senior console already occupied. The man wore the correct uniform and rank, but his face was wrong, thinner, with hollow cheeks and eyes that grabbed the red console light.
That's not Lieutenant Colonel Harris.
The shift passed in heavy silence. The man never spoke. Andrew did not ask his name. When the next crew arrived, the senior chair was empty. The log had no entry for the officer who had sat there.
Complete the shift. Do not question. That's the 4th rule. Rule 5. The figures in old-style Air Force uniforms, the ones you see in the access corridor, are not subject to challenge protocols. You leave them be.
Walk the access corridor after midnight, and you might see a figure in old blues, peaked cap pulled low. He stands motionless. He never turns. He never speaks. The official challenge protocol does not apply. Experienced crews told rookies, ignore them. Look away. They were never there.
Rule 6. The launch console keys turn easier some nights than others. Notice the difference.
Andrew remembered a night when his left key glided clockwise with almost no resistance, as if the lock had already been undone from the other side. Other nights, the key fought him. It ground against the tumblers, demanding force. That was normal. That was safe.
Easy turn means something is already in motion. Something wants you to finish the circuit.
The older officer warned him plainly, when the key turns like butter, do not turn the second one. Wait, the moment will pass. Andrew never pressed for more. The warning hung in the air like the capsule's recycled oxygen, unspoken but necessary.
Notice the difference. That's the 6th rule. Only one more to go. Rule 7. If you receive an authentic launch order, but the cryptographic codes don't match, do not turn your key.
Wait the full 7 minutes. The message would time out on its own. Every crew passed that rule, as if it were scripture. Andrew met Lieutenant Joshua during the summer of 1987. They were paired as launch officers for the Minuteman III Squadron. Joshua was younger, eager, a little careless with protocol. Andrew found him likable, if occasionally exhausting.
Keep your head in the game, Lieutenant. This capsule doesn't forgive stupidity.
Their shifts together were mostly quiet. The routine settled into an easy rhythm. A photograph from that spring shows them smiling outside the base. Neither man knew what was coming.
That final rule is the only reason I am still alive to tell this.
The 6 earlier rules had kept them safe from the strange, but Rule 7 was about to prove its weight. The night of the 14th of July, 1987, the capsule went from quiet to full alert in 40 seconds. The weeks before, that night were littered with small, nagging anomalies. Equipment readings flickered without reason. Crews whispered about it in the mess, but no one filed a report. No one wanted to be the one who complained about ghosts.
The message waiting light. It blinks when there's nothing. It feels like being watched. Maybe it's just a loose wire. Old equipment does that, right? Old equipment doesn't wait until 3 in the morning to start twitching. Stay sharp.
A heavy silence settled between them. The capsule's hum seemed louder then. Andrew noticed Joshua growing quieter each shift. The easy laughter had drained away.
I keep thinking I hear something in the corridor. Footsteps, but no one's ever there. It's probably just the ventilation. This whole place breathes.
But Andrew didn't believe it himself. The air felt different that night, heavier, waiting. The shift began like any other. Equipment checks at 2300 hours. Log entries, coffee in thermos cups. But the stale air carried a metallic taste, and the capsule's hum seemed to pulse in rhythm with the clock.
2 hours until relief. The minutes crawled. Nothing ever happens at this hour. You ever read the emergency war order template? Just to see how they word it? Don't. That's not something to joke about. Relax, Captain. I am just curious what it says. Look at this part.
Joshua flipped open the emergency war order binder, flattening a page with his gloved hand. He cleared his gloved hand. He cleared his throat dramatically.
All units are authorized to commence launch operations upon verification of authentic emergency action message. I said stop. That's the first rule. Put it down. It's not even 3 yet. What's the... Wait, the clock just...
The digital clock rolled from 3 o'clock to 3:01. A soft click echoed through the capsule. The message, waiting light, blinked once, then held steady with an amber glow. The amber light steadied, and the comm panel's speaker crackled with a burst of encrypted tone. The teletype began to chatter. The message printed in stark black letters. Emergency action messages. Authentic launch authorization. Andrew lunged for the SIOP -4 code book, flipping to the day's authentication matrix. His fingers trembled as he located the current cipher.
Bravo, Zulu, 256. The message checksums are Alpha, Charlie, Niner.
He held the printout against the book. The codes did not match, not even close.
The day's codes are wrong. This is a live order with no valid authentication. Rule 7.
The overhead lights dimmed as the capsule's combat alert system activated. Every panel lit red.
Captain, what do we do? The key slot. It's lit up. It wants me to turn it.
The authentication window appeared on the secondary monitor. 7 minutes. The countdown had begun. Rule 7. Do not turn your key. Wait the full 7 minutes. The message will time out on its own.
I am not turning my key. Neither are you. We wait.
Joshua's hand trembled above the second key. The red glow from the console reflected in his sweat.
Stop. Listen to me, Lieutenant. The codes don't match. If you turn that key, we launch without authorization. It's still counting down. What if it's real? We're supposed to launch.
4 minutes remained on the authentication clock. The capsule's hum rose to a whine.
4 minutes. He's on the edge. If I flinch, he'll turn it. It's not real. It can't be real. The codes are wrong, but the light won't stop blinking.
The timer hit 0. The red lights flickered and died. The message waiting indicator went dark. The capsule fell silent. Andrew exhaled for the first time in 7 minutes.
What? What just happened? Is it over? It's over. The message timed out. We log it as a probable equipment fault.
Andrew opened the capsule log and wrote in steady block letters. The 14th of July, 87 0300 and 1 ZEAM RCVD. Authentication fail MSG tie it out. Equip fault suspected.
Equipment fault. That's it. What if they ask why we didn't launch? They won't. The order was invalid. Trust the procedure, Lieutenant.
Strategic Air Command opened an investigation. Technicians pulled circuit logs, interviewed both officers. The capsule's records showed no validated launch order. The final report, stamped indeterminate cause, concluded that a spurious signal had triggered the alert system. No fault was found. Within a month, Lieutenant Joshua received orders reassigning him to a desk position at ESAC headquarters in Omaha. He left without argument. Andrew never questioned the transfer. He simply watched his friend disappear into the bureaucracy, and he never saw him again. Andrew completed his tour at F.E. Warren, retired quietly in 1989, and never spoke publicly about that night until now.
But the silence that followed Joshua's transfer, it wasn't right, and I couldn't let it go.
After Joshua's transfer, Andrew tried to bury the memory. He finished his remaining years at F.E. Warren, but the silence left by his partner gnawed at him. During his final shifts, he would catch himself staring at the empty console chair, half expecting to see that unrecognizable face from years before. In 1989, he received his retirement plaque, 5 years of service, commendations, and honorable discharge. It felt hollow. The quiet of civilian life only amplified the question that had been eating at him for over a decade. What had happened to Lieutenant Joshua?
I tried to let it go. I called his old number once. Disconnected. No forwarding address.
He wrote letters to Strategic Air Command requesting contact information under the guise of a veterans reunion. The replies were polite but empty. Months turned into years. Andrew became that retired officer in the library, scrolling through microfiche of military records, chasing shadows. He found traces, a promotion to captain in 1994, a commendation medal. Joshua's paper trail continued, but the man himself had vanished.
In 1998, I finally found an address. A small house in Iowa. I couldn't let it go. I had to know.
So he packed a bag, got into his car, and started driving east. Whatever he found, it would be worse than the silence. 3 days of driving brought Andrew to a tired house on a dead-end street in Iowa. The yard was overgrown, the paint peeling. He killed the engine and sat for a long moment. The address still crumpled in his hand.
11 years. What do I even say?
He stepped out, walked to the door, and knocked. The sound was too loud in the quiet afternoon. The door swung open, and a man stood in the threshold. Andrew's breath caught. It was Joshua, older, but unmistakably him. Yet the face was hollow, the eyes empty. No surprise, no warmth.
That's not Joshua. Not the man I knew.
The man looked at Andrew without a flicker of recognition, just a blank, polite stare.
Joshua, it's Andrew. Andrew Reeves.
Joshua's expression didn't change. He simply stepped aside, as if letting a stranger in.
Do you remember me, Andrew Reeves? We served together in Wyoming. The launch capsule at F.E. Warren.
They told me I had a partner, but I don't remember your face. I don't remember any of it.
The night of the 14th of July, 1987. You read the emergency war order aloud. 40 seconds later, the capsule was in full alert.
That date means nothing to me. The doctors said I lost 11 years, July 87, to now. It's all blank.
11 years. Just like the rule said. He really doesn't remember. What happened to him down there?
They gave me a diagnosis. Dissociative fugue. They said the stress of that night broke something.
The diagnosis paper listed the dates, 1987 to 1998. Autobiographical memory absent. The words felt surgical and final. A woman stood in the doorway, watching Joshua with quiet worry. He didn't introduce her.
11 years of a life he can't recall. A wife, a career, all foreign to him. Where is the man I served with?
They told me I was lucky to be alive, but I feel like I've been dead since that night. I just don't know why.
Do you have your service records? The certificates? Maybe looking at them could help you remember something.
Joshua pulled a plastic folder from a shelf. Inside, a framed commendation medal certificate stared back at them, perfectly ordered. The records showed a promotion to captain in 1994, a letter of commendation for exemplary performance. A decade-spanning career Joshua remembered none of.
And your wedding in 1991. Who was the woman you married? Do you remember her name?
Joshua picked up the wedding photograph. He stared at it with the same blankness as before.
They say she's my wife. I don't know her. She's a stranger who cries in the next room.
The chaplain's office had become a second home. They told him his hollow mind was God's mercy. The base hospital's report called it dissociative fugue, a mind's firewall. But Andrew had known men who broke under pressure. They still had shards. Joshua had nothing.
Not dissociation. Something else happened in that capsule. This man is a shell. The real Joshua never left that room.
Andrew's hands shook. He thought of the third channel, the easy-turning keys, the message that never officially existed. The answer was impossible and undeniable. Andrew drove home through the flat Iowa night. The fields a dark sea, the headlights carved a tunnel ahead, but his mind kept circling back to that hollow face and the words of Rule 7.
The codes didn't match because the sender wasn't on our side. It was answering the words Joshua read. And when we refused, it took the next best thing.
He taped a sheet of paper to the corkboard in his study and drew a simple diagram, a launch console, the words Ibu O alone, an arrow leading to a question mark, then a scribbled silhouette. Beside the silhouette, he wrote a single word, replaced. The real Joshua had been taken that night, and something else had worn his skin for 11 years.
It left a copy behind, one that could hold rank, earn medals, even marry, but never be the man I knew. And Joshua, the real Joshua, is still somewhere with it.
He thought of the empty capsule, the message waiting light that still blinked somewhere in the dark, the third channel that hummed with a voice that needed no authentication. An old oscilloscope image flickered in his memory. A waveform that wasn't static, wasn't noise, but a pattern that felt almost like a repeating question.
The rule didn't just save us. It kept that thing from getting what it wanted. But I need to know if it's still listening.
That night, Andrew waited until the house was silent, then retrieved the photocopied emergency war order template he had stored in a locked drawer. He set a kitchen timer for 7 minutes and watched the digital clock on his nightstand roll toward 3 a.m. The words of Rule 1 echoed in his mind, but he didn't stop. The photocopied emergency war order template lay flat on the desk, its black-red text half hidden by old creases. Andrew smoothed the page with a palm that did not tremble. Most of the lines had been redacted by the Air Force years earlier, but the key phrases remained. Launch authorization, authenticate, key turn. The digital clock on the nightstand clicked to 3 o'clock. The timer began its quiet countdown.
Upon verification of authentic emergency action message, proceed to launch release.
He set the page down and stared at the timer. The seconds hand barely seemed to move. The house held its breath. No amber light blinked on any console. No speaker crackled with encrypted tone. Only the furnace hummed and the timer ticked, their rhythms weaving a lull of false normalcy.
7 minutes shouldn't feel like an eternity. The air is thick, expectant. Something, is watching.
At last, the timer buzzed. The alarm clock read 3:07. The 7 minutes were over, but Andrew didn't move. In the far corner of the study, beyond the lamp's glow, a deeper shadow seemed to shift. Andrew didn't turn to look.
Nothing happened. The third channel wasn't a backup. It was a doorway. The voice that came through didn't need codes because it already knew what it was asking for.
He understood now why the unrecognized senior officer never spoke. It wasn't a man. It was something wearing the shape of one, learning.
The figures in old uniforms. They're echoes. People who were taken before. They linger in the corridors because something still holds them. The keys turn easier when the connection is strong. It's not a malfunction. It's consent. The lock wants to open.
The nights the key fought back were mercy. It meant the presence was distant, or that whatever waited beyond the circuit wasn't ready.
The message, waiting light, was never broken. It pulses like a heartbeat. Something out there keeps sending.
He thought of the capsule itself, not a bunker, but a cage. Every alarm, every red panel, every authentication protocol, designed not to keep intruders out, but to keep something in.
But it's not perfect. Sometimes something slips through. A face at the console, a voice on a dead channel.
The rules are not superstition. They are the unwritten manual for surviving a predator that wears reality like a mask.
Joshua was just the one who spoke the invitation. We're all still listening for an answer we can't understand.
Andrew's thoughts returned to the hollow man in Iowa. The shell that answered to Joshua had lived, been promoted, married, and died, never knowing what it was.
The real Joshua is still out there somewhere, trapped on the other side of that message.
Andrew had no proof, only the certainty rooted in the easy-turning keys and the voice on the dead channel. He carried it alone.
Now I've read the invitation. Will it answer me? Or will it answer me? Or will it simply take what it's owed?
He established a ritual. Every night as the clock approached 3, he sat in the dark and watched the second hand sweep. He learned to read the silence, to measure the weight of the air against his skin. The 7 minutes became his cathedral.
The 7 minutes feel longer than they used to, as if time itself is holding its breath, waiting.
He rarely slept now. The shadow in the corner never fully left, and he had stopped trying to make it go. His only companion was the creased Idaho page, folded in his pocket like a talisman against a force he could not name.
I read the words. Nothing happened. But I still wait. The 7 minutes feel longer than 7 minutes.
The rules were never written down, but they never faded. New crews still hear them on their first overnight shift. Somewhere tonight, a message waiting indicator blinks with a light that no system can account for. And in a darkened capsule, a gloved hand feels the key turn with a sickening ease, as if the lock remembers. At 3 in the morning, a weary launch officer glances at the clock and hesitates before speaking. He has heard the stories. He knows what happens to men who read the wrong words aloud. But boredom is a dangerous thing, and fear is a slow teacher. The capsule listens, patient and hungry. So the third channel stays taped off. The old uniform figures remain unchallenged. The keys twist harder on bad nights. And Rule 1, the most important, repeats in every new officer's mind. Do not read the emergency war order template aloud at 3 a.m. because the order that came in 1987 was never truly canceled. It's still waiting, 7 minutes at a time. And somewhere in the dark, a clock ticks toward 3 a.m., and a young officer stares at the binder, feeling the silence pressing in.
I read the emergency war order template once. At 3 a.m., alone in my study, I set the timer and spoke the words aloud. Nothing happened. The timer buzzed. The clock read 3:07, and the room was just as it had been. But I still wait. Every night, the 7 minutes feel longer than they used to. I cannot say more than that.
The camera holds on his weary face. His eyes carry the weight of 30 years of silence. Then, slowly, the image fades to darkness, as if the screen itself is swallowed by the capsule's shadow. But the story does not end there, because the rules are still passed and the message waiting light still blinks. And at 3 a.m., somewhere in the missile fields, a junior officer is about to read aloud, because the only thing that stops the launch is the 7-minute wait. And not everyone remembers the rule. The capsule is empty. The chairs are pushed back. The console's dark except for standby lights. Dust settles on the console keys. Then the message waiting indicator glows yellow. It blinks once, twice, then a steady, rapid stutter. The digital clock on the panel reads 3 o'clock. The red digits hold steady, as if waiting. In the left key slot, the key begins to turn. Slowly, without a hand, it rotates clockwise toward arm. It doesn't stop at the halfway mark. The key continues, sliding into the arm position with a soft click. The right key slot remains in safe. The light beside it is dark. A pause. Then the right key twitches. A faint vibration. Then it begins to rotate on its own. It fights against resistance, the tumbler's grinding, but then gives way, sliding smoothly into arm. Both keys are now in arm. The console lights flicker. The capsule hums, a low-frequency building, and then the screen cuts to black. The hum stops. Silence. The screen remains black. The silence stretches, heavy and complete. Then, white text fades in. The 7 rules are still passed to new crews. A second line materializes beneath, and somewhere in Wyoming, a junior officer is about to read the emergency war order aloud. The words hang there, stark against the void. In the distance, a launch order klaxon begins to sound, a slow, rhythmic wail that echoes through the darkness. Credits roll over the sound, names fading in and out like ghosts. Somewhere under the Wyoming plains, a capsule's message waiting light still blinks, and the timer counts down from 7 minutes. Again and again, the rules hold, but they are fragile. Every night at 3 a.m., the words are spoken somewhere, and on some nights, something answers.